we've seen a number of the 23 squad go out on loan. Couple of new signings that came in late last night, announced this morning. They've also gone out on loan. Can you give us a bit of background in terms of what the expectation is for them? Also with the two new arrivals, what they bring, what attracted you to those two players?
Sure. Yeah. Again, I'll go back to something I said earlier in the discussion, that the club want the academy and the loans department to work. That's why we invest in it. And I've been so pleased in the last 18 months with a number of those players that have come in and have been able to contribute to the first team, but also added some value. So we've got players going out. Victor Guy-Corris has just gone out on loan to Swansea. I think at the time of standing, they're sitting top of the league, joint top of the league with Reading. So we've got players that are attractive to other really good clubs if they're not quite ready for our Premier League team. So David Weir does a brilliant job in supporting the players that whilst out on loan, finding the right loans for them. It's a really complicated process. The club's got to be right, the manager's got to be right, the playing styles have got to be right, the player's got to be happy to go. No one can ever guarantee a playing time. So it's a complicated process to get the right loans for a group of players from all sorts of different nationalities. So we've got them all around the world, USA, South America, plenty in Europe and plenty in the UK. So we want them to work, and we also want John Morling, Simon Ruskin, and the team to have a belief that the academy is there for a reason, which is to get players into our first team. So the hopes and the expectations are for both of those to work. That's why we invest in both of them. And I'm really pleased with the progress that they're making, and I see some really good players either out on loan in our 23s and certainly in our 18s as well that I think have got a good chance of playing for us in the Premier League.
And just how important is it to have the 23s football back as well? When you look at someone like Aaron Connolly, for example, spent minimal time out on loan, but really excelled in that Premier League too, scored a lot of goals, and now seems to be reaping the rewards.
Yeah, I see a lot of people try and undermine the 23s league and the programme. It's a crucial part of young players' development, absolutely crucial. You rightly said, Aaron Connolly, I think, played about 25 minutes out on loan. He went on loan to Luton and he'd gone with a hamstring injury, which he sustained in January, so didn't start playing until I think it was March. By that time, Luton were flying at the top of the league, doing really well. He didn't get many minutes. So Aaron's development has pretty much been through under-23 football. People forget about Ben White, about the importance under-23 football played for Ben. So Ben went on loan to Newport County, came back for half a season and played for our under-23s, then went to Peterborough for half a season, then to Leeds. The time that Ben spent with our 23 is crucial. Stephen Alzati only played a few games on loan at Swindon. We actually gave a presentation to our under-23s last week about loans and about the programme, and loans are not for everybody. That we've got a really good twin-track development system. So we've got our under-23s that play competitive games, they're well coached, they're well resourced. The 23s programme, they've got a really good games programme. And then some need to go out on loan, some can come straight into the senior team. Hayden Roberts has been training with the senior team basically since lockdown and all the way through. You saw him play and score against Aston Villa 12 months or so ago, whenever that was, but also start against Preston. He hasn't been out on loan, he hasn't had any loan experience. Now, maybe he will, maybe he won't, but I think people get too concerned that it's got to be a loan rather than 23s, but it could be either or. Normally, to be honest, it's probably a little bit of both. I think Dunkey, I think he played a handful of games when he was on Britain. So Solly March has come through the academy, if I remember right, it's before my time. I don't think he went out on loan at all. So you've got lots of different examples of people like Ben who've had multiple loans, people who haven't had any loans, and normally it's somewhere in between the two. So the 23 programme is a really good programme for us, and making sure that it adds to the players' development.
You mentioned Percy Tau earlier, also Matt Clark, perhaps slightly different to the younger players, but both players who are out on loan and gaining experience playing games. Where does it land lie for them in terms of future? Yeah, so
as I already discussed, Paul, we believe in the loans programme as a step to make sure they're as near as they're able to be to come and play for Brighton. So Percy had a really successful year last year at Club Bruges. He's now playing a lot of minutes for Anderlecht. So keep a close eye on him and when he may be able to come and play in the Premier League and come and play in England. So again, very much part of our thoughts. He's an exciting attacking player that at the right time we're hoping we're able to bring him across and play for us. Matt Clark was Player of the Year at Derby last year. Had a brilliant season in the Championship. They were desperate for him to come back, and we're so well stocked with centre backs, unfortunately for Matt. And Leo Ostergaard I put into that group as well. Leo had a really good season last year at St Pauli, and he's gone on and got a really good loan at Coventry. So we've got Ben and Joel come and joined us, as well as Dunkey and Webby and Dan Byrne, and we've got good options at centre back. So we felt that Matt was probably more important. He went and got a few more games and continues his progress at a really good club and a really good level. So keep an eye on those sort of players. They are close to our first team. And
still got the domestic window open, as you touched on earlier. The likes of Warren Ahora, Ryan Longman, Taylor Richards, Alex Cochrane's obviously abroad, Victor mentioned as well, all out on loan. Is there a possibility that others could go and join them in the EFL over the next few days? And I guess also, is there a possibility that players could come from the EFL even?
Yeah, so first part about going out on loan. So, we want to make sure that Graham's got a manageable squad, and manageable works two ways. One, he's got enough options and enough depth. In particular in December, I think we play sort of 6 games in about 4.5 weeks. So, it's quite a tight schedule over Christmas. So we'll need a little bit of depth there as well. So we've got to have enough players, but not too many players. So you want players that are close enough to the first team and are able to contribute. And if they're not, especially some of the younger players, to continue their development and go and play games. But again, it's not as simple as just looking at it in, as we've already said, there's 2.5 months until the window opens again. So you look at somebody like Jason Malumbi, for example. So Jason played 40 games for Millwall last year. He's made a couple of appearances for us. He started against Manchester United in the Cup. He's away with Ireland's senior team. He's played for them. So, if Jason is in and around the squad for 2.5 months and until the January window, it may be we make that decision that he's needed and wants to contribute, and we want him to contribute to the Premier League team. And if he's not played much, maybe goes out on loan in the second half of the season. Also, on the other hand, if a really good loan opportunity comes up and we feel, when we get back from the international break, everybody's fit and raring to go, maybe someone like Jason or Max or Hayden are able to go out on loan. So it's ever changing. I would imagine probably 1 or 2 may go out on loan between now and the end of the domestic window. There's a couple of things that might happen. And as for coming in, well, again, I'll go back to what we said. Tony and the board are always happy to support the right player at the right time, at the right cost that fits our model. And if that player comes up between now and next Friday, then yes, of course we'd be interested. But as I said all along through this, it's got to be right for the club, and it's got to improve Graham's squad.
And finally, nearly 2 years into the job now, Dan. Looking back, you must be quite pleased and proud of what you've achieved. Certainly the progress the team have made on the pitch, but a lot of what we've just spoken about as well with the loans programme and the recruitment side of things. How's it been? How do you reflect on the first 2 years?
Yeah, I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I think it's 2 years in February, so it's not quite a year and a half so far. But really enjoyed it. Obviously, it's been there's been some real challenges in that period of time as well. Obviously, worked with Chris for a short period of time. Thought a lot of Chris, and really good person to work with. Ended up changing that at the end of the season. I think I'd only worked with him for about 3 months, and then delighted that Graham came and joined us, and building a new relationship with Graham. His first year in the Premier League, first transfer window last summer when we brought in Leo and Neil, Adam Webster, I'm thinking back now as well, Aaron Moy, Matt Clark, and again some younger players and development players. Then of course the season stops. We had COVID to deal with as well, which it's never happened in anybody's careers, and I've been in it for a while, as you've politely said, getting old. But no, that was just new to all of us. Now we're playing in a new environment behind closed doors, no crowds, which again is really difficult and different. And the budgetary constraints we've talked about, and the lack of financial clarity that COVID has brought the whole economy, let alone football. So yeah, it's been some challenging times, but some really enjoyable times as well. We've got a record number of points last year in the Premier League, which was great. And probably my biggest passion, Paul, is helping young players and seeing young players coming through. So, you know, when the likes of Ben make their debuts, and Aaron and Stephen and Jason, and, you know, we've got some opportunities for our young players, and either when they're playing out on loan or doing really well coming through the academy, that's probably the thing that gives me the biggest buzz, is seeing them and their careers progress.